Hi, and welcome to More Than Just a Major for the Social and Behavioral Sciences. We are so excited to have you with us today in this virtual format. We hope that you're staying healthy and safe, and we can't wait to meet you in the fall. My name is Cliff Jones. I'm an academic advisor in the Hardin Hub. I'm so excited to be joined with some amazing faculty and orientation leaders today, and I'd love for you to meet them now.
My name is Jonathan Weiler. I'm a teaching professor in the Curriculum and Global Studies at UNC. I'm a UNC alum myself. I received my PhD in political science from UNC Chapel Hill. I teach courses on economic globalization, human rights, sports and globalization. I'm the co-host of a podcast with Matt Andrews called COVID Conversations about various aspects of the coronavirus pandemic and the great research that many of our colleagues at UNC are doing as it relates to the pandemic.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jonathan's co-host. My name is Matthew Andrews. I am a professor in the Department of History. I did my undergraduate work at UCLA many years ago. I got my PhD actually at UNC Chapel Hill. And I teach courses on the intersection of sport and politics. I teach a course called Sport and American History, teach a course on baseball and American history, a course on race and basketball, and a course on the Olympic Games. I'll be teaching sports and American history in my Olympic history course in the fall. And so Jonathan Weiler and I, we obviously have similar interests. We do the COVID Conversations podcast. We also do another one that's just on sports and politics, called The Agony of Defeat. And we're very excited to be here and looking forward to getting you all on campus very soon.
Hey y'all, my name is Olivia Sullivan. I'm one of the OLs, and I'm a junior from Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm a double major in political science and women and gender studies, and my pronouns are she, her, hers.
Hi y'all, my name's Stone Watson. I'm also an orientation leader, and I'm a rising sophomore from Morehead City, North Carolina, majoring in political science and human development and family studies, and my pronouns are he, him, his.
Awesome. So the focus of this workshop is to let you know what you can expect for your first year at UNC. Not necessarily your entire collegiate career, but really what you need to know to be successful in your first year. If you're watching on day one of your orientation, you will have an opportunity to interact with advising in a live format on day two. So tomorrow, you'll be able to ask questions with regard to placement and credit and the curriculum. So write down any questions and you'll be able to get started and ask those questions tomorrow. Here in academic advising, we want to partner with you to help you explore your goals and interests, assist you in developing an education plan, guide you toward resources and high impact opportunities, and much more to help you make the most of your college experience. Our department has advisors who work specifically with students in STEM majors and advisors who work with students with majors within humanities, arts, and social sciences, and we call that HAS. So if you are planning a major in the social and behavioral sciences, you'll likely be working with one of our HAS advisors. We do have multiple locations: Steele Building, which is on North Campus, the Hardin Hub, which is on the south side of campus, and Loudermilk, which is right in the middle, and that's specifically for student athletes competing on our varsity teams. You will be assigned to an academic advisor when you arrive at campus in the fall to help you get connected with us, but feel free to see any advisor who works with your specific major throughout your time at UNC. So we really encourage you to find an advisor you feel comfortable developing a consistent connection with. We find that the better we know you, the better we're able to support you. So we really want to know, your passions, your interests, what drives you, what motivates you, really what your big dreams are. And we found that when we know that information and when we know you well, we can really serve and support you. You can engage with us in multiple ways, by appointment, during drop-in sessions, on our website's advising chat function, and through the advising workshops that occur throughout the year. We also post important deadlines and advising relating topics through our social media platforms. So if you have Twitter and IG, feel free to follow us at UNC Advising. Your academic advisor will partner with you in many ways. Your goals will make way for many of the conversations you have with our office. We'll help you brainstorm ideas and discuss major and minor options, to help you determine which path is best for you. And when you're ready, we will declare or change your major or minor. I will also assist you in developing a course plan for future semesters. And if you are experiencing college transition challenges or academic difficulty, which does happen from time to time, we can help point you to resources that will help you succeed. Most importantly, we're here to help you maximize your college experience and help you reach your full potential for success at UNC. Now, there are a few things that advisors are unable to do. So beyond the 2 courses you have already been pre-registered for, academic advising is unable to enroll you into courses. So if a course is limited to certain populations or it's closed, our office cannot override those restrictions. Most importantly, we will not tell you what classes to take. We'll give you all the information you need to make a wise decision, and then we'll empower you to do so. You have the freedom and flexibility to tailor your academic journey to your interests, and no 2 paths are alike. Olivia or Stone, do either of you all have any tips for how they can interact with advising?
Well, I personally, from my own experience, can say that Hardin Hub does not always have as long of a line, and it can get pretty backed up, especially for when deadlines are coming, like for the pass-fail date and things like that. But Hardin Hub is a really great place to go that not a lot of people do.
Awesome, thank you, Olivia.
I also have something.
Sure.
For academic advising for your first year, you have to make at least 1 appointment, and I advise you to do that earlier rather than later because they get booked up later in the year.
Sure. Yep. So we love to see you early in the fall to help plan for your future semesters, and really just to get to know you as a student, and you can get to know us as advisors. So thank you, Stone and Olivia.
And Cliff, I'll jump in real fast and just say something about how advisors cannot enroll you into courses, a course that is full. Looking at it from the perspective of the professor, if you're interested in someone's course, in one of our courses, and it's full, just reach out to us, send us an email, explain to us that you're a first year that you're coming in, but you're very interested in this course. We can't obviously guarantee enrollment into a course, but it's nice to hear from students, and if they express an interest, perhaps we have some sort of waiting list that we can put you on. So just because the course is full doesn't mean you're not going to be able to get into that course. You just have to reach out, be polite, be persistent, but let us know your interest.
Yep, that's very true. Thank you for that, Dr. Andrews. Carolina embraces a liberal arts education by promoting an interdisciplinary approach to learning through arts, humanities, natural and social sciences. The foundation of liberal arts will enhance your critical thinking, problem solving, communication skills, and much more. So why is this important? It's important because it creates a well-rounded person who is able to adapt in an ever-changing field. And the impact of this is pretty key, especially today in an evolving job market. Students have to be able to possess a diverse skill set in order to create a competitive edge. So for example, let's say you want to go to law school. Outside of all of the great information and content you'll learn as a part of your major, you're gonna need to be able to write and have really strong writing skills to be able to communicate and articulate messages clearly and succinctly, and read and synthesize dense material effectively. So these are all of the things that you will gain and develop as a result of the liberal arts education. UNC implements this liberal arts education through our general education curriculum, which we abbreviate as Gen Eds. And so you'll learn all about Gen Eds tomorrow during the advising and registration workshop. So now let's get into our major basics. So you can see on the right side of our screen, many of the majors that make up the social and behavioral sciences. There's quite a variety. Some of the more common ones are probably going to be economics, global studies, history, political science, and public policy. Some that are a little bit less common, and management society is one that is growing. Of course, Asian studies and archaeology are also really wonderful majors, and those are growing as well. The majority of these majors are going to be Bachelor of Arts degrees, but there are a few Bachelor of Sciences that are mixed in, and you can see also down at the bottom the professional school majors that are kind of within this division. So business, education, and information and library sciences. One of the great things about the social and behavioral sciences is that there is so much content overlap between a number of these departments. And so it makes it really, really interesting and easy for students to be able to take courses that overlap in content and in requirements for majors. So you'll hear students talk about double majors and minors. Students are able to major in or have a combination of up to 3 majors and or minors. So you can have, one major and 2 minors, up to 2 majors and 1 minor. You cannot have 3 majors and 0 minors, or 0 majors and 3 minors, but you do have that ability, and social and behavioral sciences are often more conducive to that. I will say, after saying all that, it is completely fine, 100% okay to have 1 major and 0 minors. That's all you need in order to graduate. We find that students, once they take a couple courses in a number of different areas, they'd like to pursue multiple options. And so if that's something that you would like to do, the social and behavioral sciences are a great place for you to do that. Most majors consist of somewhere between 7 and 10 or 12 courses. Minors are subsets of majors where students can choose 4 to 5 courses in an area that has a minor to complete that minor. So there is plenty of room for exploration during your first year and beyond, and the ability to pursue multiple options moving forward. You do have until the end of your 4th semester to declare a major. And what this means is that even, after that, you can still make changes to your major, you can still add minors and those types of things, but you do have to have something declared by the end of your 4th semester. One last point that I think is particularly important: these are all really, really great majors, but they don't necessarily have a concrete path towards a career in all of them. And that's okay. We found that 70+% of employers who post their jobs through UNC's job search indicate no specific major. So you're going to get some great content knowledge, you're going to develop great skills, and that's not necessarily specific to the major that you choose. So we will continue on in talking more about exploration through courses.
So as Cliff just said, majors do not equal careers. And that's important for a number of reasons. I think one of the reasons it's important is so that students don't feel like when they take a course that doesn't necessarily fulfill a specific requirement or doesn't build toward what they imagine their career will be, that somehow that is a wasted course. I think all of the courses you take at UNC will be valuable to you in one way or other. And in particular, when you first get to UNC, you will be taking some general education courses, but you'll also be taking courses just because they interest you, and they'll help you clarify what it is that you want to pursue for a major as you go through the UNC curriculum. So being open to exploring your interests through courses, whether it's because a course looks interesting to you, you heard about a professor who you're really excited about, a friend told you about a course. I think all of those are perfectly valid reasons to take courses without necessarily having a specific future plan in mind when you enroll in a particular class that you take. So Olivia and Stone, can you tell us a little bit about how you came to just settle on the majors you're currently pursuing, and maybe in particular talk about a course you took early on in your college career that you didn't necessarily think it was going to lead to anything more than just taking that particular course, but it turned out to pique your interest in a way that really helped you set your academic path?
Yeah, so I've always been interested in like government and whatnot. So when I came to Carolina, I came in with the Poly 100 credit, which is Intro to American Democracy, which I found very interesting. So I decided to take other 100 level courses like Poly 150, which is International Relations, and Poly 130, which is Comparative Politics. And taking those classes really made me declare political science as a major because I found those still interesting.
I have a little bit of a different experience in that I came in as probably many of you will hear, a biology pre-med major, and I took Women and Gender Studies 101, highly recommend, my first semester in the fall, and absolutely fell in love with it. And I declared that as a major with biology and chemistry minors, and eventually evolved through very bad chemistry grades. So that was not the path I was meant to go on, and really fell in love with Poly 130 taught by Dr. Reynolds. And those introductory courses really make a difference, because I mean, it's what's guided me to find what I'm most passionate about and also what I'm successful in.
Olivia and Stone, I'm wondering, when you sign up for courses, so we've talked about taking courses because they do or do not fulfill a general education requirement, or because it's in your major or in a possible minor. You know, I'm looking at all these different courses out there on this slide about first year seminars, which are generally smaller. A lot of these exploration courses, 100 level courses, when I teach mine, has somewhere between 165 and 250 students in it. Do you pay attention to the size of the classes when you're enrolling? I mean, do you purposely choose small classes, big classes? Do you have any thoughts or any advice for students as they're starting to factor in, you know, why they might take one course or another?
I think personally, I knew going into, especially going into the STEM sciences originally, that I was going to be in pretty large lectures for a good amount of my classes. And so to have the comparison with the women and gender studies classes and political science classes that I started to get into that were smaller, it was really nice to experience both of those environments. I think you can be successful in both. I think that professors are really accommodating in both, but it's not something that's ever dictated my class choice. I do highly recommend taking first year seminars. I actually didn't take any, and I wish that I had, because a lot of them don't have exams at the end. A nice little note there. But I just really finding courses that you're passionate about or that pique your interest. They're piquing your interest for a reason, and that's what's honestly most important, because class sizes, eventually it's going to start whittling down, but it's not going to be an impediment on your learning.
Yeah, so I took a first year seminar that I just finished this past semester. It was History 55. It was Healthcare in the South. And Olivia is right. There is no final exams, but there is a lot of writing. Like, it teaches you other aspects of college classes that you will need to like succeed in the future. Like, even though like I don't care about like the medical humanities and whatnot, like that's class still taught me valuable lessons. Like, I still use my other poly classes. And then going off like the size of classes, first like the intro classes of poly are usually about like 200 to 400 people, which kind of scared me at first because I come from a small town where like classes are like 20 to 30 students. But there's always recitations where you get more of like individual help from your TAs and you really build that connection with them.
Yeah, I should definitely throw in, I'm from a larger high school, but I mean, class sizes even in high schools are a lot smaller, but it definitely, you'll find success, and like Stone said, the recitations are really important, and important for voicing your opinions and being able to get your ideas out there, which I highly encourage. It'll help your participation grade.
Yeah, if you're not sure what this term recitation is, for a lot of large lecture courses, say a course with 165 students, there'll usually be 3 or 4 graduate student teaching assistants, TAs, and about once every week or every other week, you'll get the opportunity to, you know, whittle down from that 165 students into a smaller room where there are about 15 of you, and you'll be able to discuss ideas and ask questions. So even in the large courses, as Stone and Olivia were just talking about, there are these opportunities to get in a much smaller environment and get your voice heard and ask questions again. So it's sort of the best of both worlds, I guess, in that way. Great.
And just to follow up on something Olivia said a minute ago about first year seminars, when you get to campus, it is true that in your first year, a number of the courses you're taking are going to be bigger classes. But the first year seminars are specifically reserved for first year students. They're always taught by a faculty member. They're capped at something like 24 students. You can take at least one first-year seminar each semester your first year. And so I do think they're particularly good opportunities for first-year students to be in a more intimate learning environment with a faculty member than you'll sometimes find in some of the bigger courses that are typical for new students.
So I guess one of the things that we want to emphasize from the perspective of the faculty is that we're here to help, right? We're not just here to be your instructor and stand behind a lectern and espouse knowledge. We hold office hours and we answer emails, and we are here to get to know you as students. So one of the things, so I'll just talk about what I do in the history department, for example. I really have two jobs. One, I'm the advisor for the history department. So, you go and see Cliff if you have questions about everything on campus. He can help you with that. But if you have very specific questions about a particular major, in this case, the history major, you could come to my office. You could ask about a particular professor's teaching style. You could ask about the size of classes. You could say, well, I like this type of teaching. Can you recommend a particular history course? We can have those sort of very specific to history conversations. But the other thing that I would really want to emphasize to y'all is, again, if you're in a large class and you're sitting in a room with 165 or up to 400 students, one of the ways you can get to know us is come and see us. Again, we hold office hours. Our doors are, well, we're going to see how it goes in the fall, but I think our doors are going to be open, and we like talking to students. There's a reason we are professors, is because we like students. We like being around young people, and we like teaching them, but we also like learning from them. So, if you're a little naturally shy, that's okay. Take a deep breath, knock on our door. We will be welcoming you, and we'd like to get to hear who you are. So please consider us as resources beyond just someone, again, who is espousing knowledge at the front of the classroom. Jonathan, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'll add to that. The UNC is a big school. There's something like 18,000 undergrads, and to concur with what Matt said, our colleagues, we love to talk to our students. We love to hear from them. We love for them to come visit us, and we love to get to know them. But because it is a big school and we're sometimes teaching big classes, it's just going to be incumbent upon you, the student, to take the initiative and seek out and reach out to faculty. And as Matt said, you may feel intimidated or shy about that at first. But I think overwhelmingly students find that when they do take that initiative, they find it to be tremendously rewarding. There's a payoff to that. Developing relationships with faculty also serves your interests when it comes time to asking people to write you letters for internships or potential jobs or graduate school. So I really would urge you to push yourself to reach out to your faculty as early as you can in your college career.
Yeah, you're not a bother. It gets lonely in those office hours, right? Yeah,
Yes, it does.
We're desperate sometimes for human connection. So come and talk to us. Maybe we'll turn it to Olivia and Stone. Do you have advice for how to make connections with faculty members? Is that something that you very consciously thought about in your first couple of years here?
Yeah, so my first semester, I was kind of scared to go talk to my professors like a normal first year would be. But my Poly 150 Professor Mosley, she held like little coffee get-togethers for groups of like 8 students or more, where we just like talked about our lives or talked about anything but class, really, so she can get to know us. So that was like better in a group setting, which I thought. And Professor Anderson did the same thing this semester with Poly 130, but she discussed more of like what we were discussing in class that interests us, so we could get to know her more and progress through the major better.
I also think, office hours are so important, and also just a really nice casual place and relaxed environment to get to know your professor. But even if that's not available to you for any reason, that the way that you email and talk to your professors over email is really important, and that's how I've developed a lot of really close connections, especially in this past virtual semester. But just know that email is always there, and that using a professional tone is really important, but also your professors are going to be really open with you and accommodating, and that's a really great way to build relationships as well.
Also, creating a good relationship with your TA can help with your relationship with the professor. So like if you have a certain question that you don't think is important to ask the professor, then you should ask your TA, which then they'll relay your message. So that helps if you know your TA very well.
So Olivia and Stone, of course, classes are an incredibly important part of your undergraduate experience at UNC, but they are far from all of your undergraduate experience. Co-curricular, extracurricular activities are also a very important part of how you're going to remember your time at UNC. So could you each talk maybe about one experience, one co-curricular experience you've had that's had a meaningful impact on your time here at UNC?
Absolutely. You'll definitely find at UNC, and you'll soon hear about Fall Fest, the clubs galore, but there are plenty of options here. And I personally have been involved with Que Rico, which is the Latin dance team. And I wasn't able to participate this past semester, but you just finding extracurricular, co-curricular that allows you to express yourself, whether your major does or not. It's so important, because building a social wellness on campus is really going to benefit your academic wellness. And especially in your first year, finding a place that feels more like family, or at least that makes you feel really comfortable in who you are, is going to be really foundationally important in terms of building your life on campus as a UNC student moving forward. But if anybody's interested in Latin dance, Que Rico is pretty great.
Yeah, so getting involved on campus, I believe, is also very important with succeeding academically at UNC. So I decided to get involved with student government. So this past year, I was the legislative assistant for the speaker for the undergraduate senate. And then this upcoming year, I'm working on the academic affairs committee for the executive branch. So finding those people that are interested in the same things as you are creates like long-lasting friendships that like you wouldn't be able to find anywhere else on campus, like in your classes, because they're so formal. Whereas in like little meetings with your colleagues and friends, you get more of like a one-on-one friendship type thing.
So I think you can see here that there's a lot of opportunities to be involved in things that both directly relate to your major and academic success, as well as indirectly, and they're all important aspects of the UNC student life.
And as I understand it, there's over 800 student organizations at UNC, so there is something for everyone. You just need to take a little bit of time to explore at heallife.unc.edu, or as Stone and Olivia talked about during Fall Fest, and you will surely find something of interest to you. So Stone and Olivia, now that you're both seasoned college students, can you maybe share with new students one thing you wish you knew prior to your first semester at UNC that might have helped your transition to college?
Yeah, so when I was making my schedule in the summer for my first year at UNC, I was so stressed about like not getting the classes I wanted. But as I got on campus, I soon realized that not having like a perfect first year schedule is not going to hurt your academic future, because you'll most likely end up changing your major and finding new interest as you keep studying.
And as somebody who has transitioned from strongly in STEM to strongly in not, I think that it's really important to explore your interests and really follow what not only makes you feel passionate about a subject, but where you find academic success, because where you find that combination is what's going to provide success in the future and just make you happy while you're a student. And so the best advice that I can give is I really tried to stick through chemistry, and honest props to everybody who does, and you should really try to, if it's what you're passionate about. But I dug myself too strongly into one like professional career in terms of medical sciences, things like that, when it really, I needed to listen to myself, listen to what I was liking, the political science classes, women and gender studies classes, that really is where I found my passion, and have found academic success, because like I said, that combination is really important. So just listen to what it is that you like, honestly, and it's going to pull you in the right direction.
I would also say to be more open-minded about every aspect of campus life, because I went in, like, I'm an in-state student from North Carolina, so I went in knowing a few people from North Carolina from high school events, but like I urge you to like go out of your bubble and meet more people, because it offers more like a worldly experience. Like most of my friends now are not from North Carolina, and yeah.
And I think too, the first year of college, being completely honest, is it's not always easy. That's true for everybody. And you can really get involved in seeing everybody always talking about how well they're doing, how much fun they're having, that kind of thing. But it really is a tough time for everybody. And so that's why it's so important to really take the time to know yourself, find what you like in terms of majors, but also in terms of campus life, to really get you through the struggles that may come in your first year, because it only gets better from the first day moving on.
I want to add something, which is that this session, of course, is focused on majors in the social and behavioral sciences, but many, many of our students will both pursue a social sciences major and a natural sciences, a STEM major. There are plenty of global studies majors, for example, who double major in computer science or chemistry or math. Olivia mentioned originally being interested in pursuing a medical career. You can very easily fulfill your pre-med requirements while majoring, for example, in anthropology or geography. So I really just want to urge people not to think of this as an either-or proposition between social sciences on the one hand and natural sciences. On the other hand, many people work both parts of their brains during their college careers, and that's part of what makes a liberal arts education and the kinds of opportunities that are available at UNC so exciting for so many of our students.
So we will close our session today, thanking you for your time and attention. We welcome you to the Tar Heel family, and we are looking forward to meeting you in the fall. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon.